startup ecosystem, what the idea is that you have to learn how to pitch your idea clearly and concisely. And once you learn how to do that, then you can bring in all the stakeholders and you can get into programs that'll help you and train you on how to build it. But that first step is you have to design a business model that is desirable.
When I initially moved back to Pensacola, I had a meeting with Lloyd. Lloyd invited me for breakfast, and I was telling him, man, I still have an idea for the entertainment industry. This is what I wanted to do. He was like, all right, I got to start up on the blocks. So I need you to start coming to start up on the blocks and get a little more information on how to work through the tech ecosystem and take your idea and we'll get you where you need to go. My company is called The Know, is an app that is streamlining business for the entertainment industry. Yeah, so if you're a musician, what you would do is pretty much jump on the platform, you'll create a profile, but the way we created the profile is pretty much a cleaner way. So now if they want more information about you, you'll connect your social media platforms, your streaming platforms, and that way they can go directly to it. What we also have included is your calendar. So pretty much you can set your days, you can set your price for your days and automate your booking. So initially talking to Lloyd, my idea was all here, it was there, it was over here, it was over there. It was like, all right, Quinn, I get it. You got a lot that you want to do, but we need you to bring it in just a little bit and then work on your pitch, your story, and how you're going to bring it full circle to get people to understand what you're trying to create.
Most of the programs here wasn't inclusive, and so we said we'll focus on helping founders of color. We also start at the beginning of the thing, at the idea stage, whereas a lot of the programs you see here locally, they start after you're up, and that's not very efficient unless if you don't have a lot of money, you can't recover from your mistakes. And the lean startup system, it actually helps you make mistakes faster before you spend a lot of money. You don't actually start building anything until you got customer buy-in.
There was a need for small businesses to bring brand awareness to their business. I see there's a lot of makers and bakers that they're making all of these goodies and these products, but they can't market it, they can't sell it at the same time, and there needs to be kind of like that middleman, that middle person to help bring economic growth to some of the small businesses in Pensacola. So Taste of Pensacola, I came up with that idea during the pandemic when I saw things at that time that Amazon couldn't fulfill. They didn't even have those products, but the local people in the community, they did. And so there was a ton of people coming out saying, hey, I make masks. I'm like, wow, this is amazing, all the local people here that are just as talented that can actually make those products. And so I wanted to kind of showcase who they were. So with Taste of Pensacola, our income streams, we have several of them. We have the corporate America, we do corporate gifting, just regular consumers, different Pensacola natives that don't live here that want to purchase our boxes, like a taste of weddings, distribution. So we also do bulk sales. So for a private airline, if they want some local snacks and goodies on their passenger flights, they will come to Taste of Pensacola and we will source their vendors here locally, and we'll give a small business owner an opportunity to have reoccurring monthly sales. I've always had a really big vision for Taste of Pensacola. I knew that it could go beyond just local. I know that maybe other communities could possibly use the same platform that I'm trying to build. And I always have these big visions, but I never know how to even get there. Where do I start? I know it's more than, there's a lot of technical things behind it. I know there's a lot of research, but that connection, I never had it until, thankfully, I met and was introduced to Startups on the Blocks and was able to just learn more about how to grow it in terms of data. Things I just never thought about, framework, words like traction. There's a lot of things that I just did not know about and language that I need to know in order to get funding for my business. There's just a lot that I didn't know.
I would go to the stores and look online. They didn't have a wide variety of natural hair products about 8 years ago. And the ones that they did have, the ingredients, it would say that they were all natural. And when I would research the ingredients, a lot of the ingredients were not natural. I make everything, my shampoo, conditioner, I have an oil that I make, and I have 2 different separate butters. Like I had some people who were completely bald and grew their hair. It's about giving women their confidence back in their hair. I have this salon and then I have a second salon, and I have my products in about 5 beauty supply stores. So I need a manufacturer to keep up with the demand at this point. Startup on the Blocks has helped my business grow, send me to different people. I'm able to do different pitch competitions to apply for grants in the community for small businesses. Lloyd's a really good person to connect with. He has a lot of resources here in the community that can help small businesses grow. If you have a product out there and you're trying to go big time, he's the person that you would want to meet with.
So it's really important to have some type of support because 9 times out of 10, most founders start out on their own. And to have somebody that has an idea of how the ecosystem works and is able to tap into other resources and bring back to the community, and that pretty much has encountered some of the roadblocks or going through the same roadblocks that we're currently going through and understands where you're at, your culture and how you respond to things, is a big help because you don't really have too many people that have access to what we have access to here in the community. And a lot of people believe that you have to leave and go to bigger cities to do the things that we're doing here. But I mean, it's one thing to have exposure, but you have to actually know it's here in the community in order to take advantage of the resources. So I get approached and I talk to friends all the time that wants to either start an idea or hear that I'm actually doing the app and wants to know more information about how are you doing it or what's the process, what's the path. I'm like, man, we have somebody here, Startup on the Blocks, Lloyd Richard. And Lloyd is here, he's a great resource to the community and to founders that's trying to learn the ecosystem. So join Startup on the Blocks.
Welcome, welcome. How's it going, Paul?
It's going well. It's going well. It's been a good day.
Fantastic. Glad to have you here. And it was a pleasure meeting you last Thursday. And so it's pretty exciting what's going on in the startup world out here.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. There's a lot of energy, a lot of activity in the Gulf Coast with startups, and you would not know it, but it's there if you're looking for it.
That's exactly right. And that's why we're here tonight to kind of share some of the opportunities that are out there for people who have ideas and may want to start working on their startup or their business. And then for people who are already out there, maybe have built something, but having struggling to find the resources to kind of move forward. Also, founders that out there have created stuff and don't know how to sell it. We want to help them out too. Just a lot of different things. I wanted to mention we met for the first time last Thursday, a week ago, at the Money Fest, and so yeah, how would you all put that on? But how would you describe it to someone? What is Money Fest?
Yeah, so regardless of what stage of business or entrepreneurship you're in, whether you are a startup looking for like getting to $1 billion exit, needing venture capital funding, or if you're a local business just getting started, needing a loan to go get a property for your restaurant. MoneyFest brings the people who are ready to put money into you to you. And so everything from the local banker to the nonprofit foundation ready to fund the fund for nonprofits to the venture capitalists ready to go make $1 billion companies. Everybody was there, ready to sit down, talk to you, and really pour into you everything you need to know to be able to go get money so that you can run your business. We run it every year, and so like it's an annual thing. It grows every year, and it gets bigger and bigger.
Fantastic. Yeah, I was so glad that Quinn told me about it because I wasn't really paying attention, and I think it was a fantastic event, and I think a lot of thought went into it, I was glad to be able to attend that, and it was well attended. I feel kind of bad that I didn't spread the word enough for the people here in the area, you know. But just to so people know stuff like that is going on. Before I let you introduce yourself, I'm going to go ahead and give a quick shout out to our sponsors and partners, so we can they're the ones that help us put this program on. We've been doing it for this August will be 5 years. We've been having this weekly event to try to help founders learn the best practices for building a startup so they can actually connect to all those money sources and resources out there in the ecosystem. So we build our network up and resources to partner with organizations like the Blacks in Technology Foundation, Startup Science, which has a learning platform for for founders, which is this little green thing here. That's for startup science, and that is a invaluable resource for founders. So Paul, I guess when you were over in Silicon Valley, you probably met a lot of people who had went through a lot of exits. I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for
And so
sure.
the guy who created this platform, he went through 12 exits, totaling billions of dollars, and everything he learned from going through those exits, he put in this training program. And so we have that platform, and we make that available to founders so they can actually learn how to go through all these different phases of a startup and how to lead your company through all those different phases from vision to exit. And it has all the tools in there for pitch competitions. It has all the tools in there to calculate all your market stuff. I mean, it's an amazing platform that helps close the knowledge gap for founders on how to communicate with the ecosystem. And we also have partners, software partners, platform partners like Coda, and they let our founders have 6 months of free access with unlimited AI, and it's an amazing tool if you don't know about it. And but also in our Black Founder program, we have a resources link where you can check out that resource link and have all these opportunities in there for you. Make Startups, we've partnered with them about almost a year ago now, and we're just now getting to the point to leverage their platform. And so, Paul, I don't know if you heard of them, but what's unique about them is when you fill out your application on that platform, it actually grades your application on your entrepreneurship skills and gives you a score. And then it gives you feedback on how to completely answer the questions so you can get more thoroughly so you can get a higher score. It's equivalent to when you apply for a grant, you apply for a pitch competition, apply for a program that gives you money, or apply for a program that gives you free software or in-kind service. It actually makes sure you answer questions thoroughly so you can actually be a good candidate to take advantage of those programs. Yeah. So yeah, that's what that one is. Pitch Bob, I, I can't even keep up with these guys. They always creating AI stuff for founders, and so what I like about them, we have a code where you can get for half price with them, and they'll help you generate all your initial startup documentation that you need. And they got a lot of other tools in there too. Plus, they have a whole list of perks that you can get for as a startup founder. So one of the perks in there is like a $25,000 Azure credit, and so that's pretty neat. And so our main platform that we use to teach people business modeling is this Lean Stack platform, and that platform is basically takes you through all the business model planning and also teaches you how to sell, and that's what I think the folks that don't go through our 90-day program, they don't realize once you launch a product or service, you got to sell it in order to make money. And so we got a bunch of Black founders out there that's created some beautiful products, but they don't know how to sell them, how to get customers. And so that's what this Lean Stack platform. It has all the milestones that a founder needs to reach from the business model founder fit all the way to product market fit, and it kind of leads you through how to make that happen. And these are some other organizations we're partnered with that actually all of them to support founders. They support Black founders and so it's a pretty neat thing. These are some of our sponsors that help out with the money stuff, and so definitely a big shout out to all of them. And so that's because all these programs cost money, and so they help fund our programs to kind of keep moving things forward. Yeah, Ron is an investor, so he definitely want the founders to actually sell that. Yeah. So that's what that's all about. So you got some little background noise coming in there, Paul? Okay. Yeah. And so like all these other, like the First Bank, Resonance Bank, they merged, so they both support us, and yeah, it's just a really good good companies out there willing to actually support us. So, Paul, why don't you take a minute or two and kind of introduce yourself, and then later on we'll dig deeper into your journey there.
Yeah, so my name is Paul Lockett. I am the technical director for the Innovation Portal. Innovation Portal is where Money Fest was held. We have a whole bunch of other events that are specifically tailored towards helping startups as well as small businesses inside of Mobile and elsewhere to be able to get off their feet and actually do some great things. We have a whole bunch of programs that we like work with inside the state, outside the state, and of Alabama, as well as a lot of events and things that we do that are funded by local foundations that allow us to pour into just local businesses. And so we'll run lots of programming to help local businesses, give them direct aid, and as well as be able to get them into a position where their businesses are running more effectively than before they came to us. We're also a co-working space, and so like coming to Money Fest or any event that we have at the Innovation Portal, it's happening inside of that co-working space, and so people have their offices there as well. So like this is a big resource for the community in Mobile and a real center inside of Alabama for innovative ideas, innovative thinking, new startups, especially anything that might be associated with the greater Gulf Coast outside of just like Alabama and northern Alabama.
Yeah.
Myself, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to mention, like a lot of the programs you all have are open to founders over here in Northwest Florida as well. I just want to make sure people understand that. And then also that facility, if I understand right, is about 30,000 square feet, so it's huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got everything from long-term rentals in there to month-to-month rentals. So that like a business that doesn't necessarily need like a big office can have an office and then have a place to meet clients and whatnot. So before Innovation Portal, I grew up in Mobile. I went to Morehouse, graduated from there, and then started working in Silicon Valley for the past about 3 years. Inside those 3 years, I worked at AI companies that were like basically feeders into a lot of the larger AI companies like Anthropic and OpenAI. That like first one I worked at got sold to Snowflake. A lot of those folks work at Snowflake. Some of them went to OpenAI. I went to a place called Flexport, which is a startup that's focused on building tools for people who do global shipping. So, like a company like Apple might use Flexport to get their iPhones out of China and into the States, and we build software to be able to help facilitate that whole process. After being inside of California for that time, Todd Greer, the executive director of the Innovation Portal, reached back out to me because I knew him all the way back from when I was in Mobile in high school, going to startup weekends
Oh, wow.
and learned about entrepreneurship from him and the events that he was holding inside of a completely different co-working space that he was over at that point in Mobile. And he reached back out to me. He said, we've been seeing you do this crazy, cool stuff inside of California. I want you to come back and run this venture studio inside the Innovation Portal. And so now I'm in the Innovation Portal running a venture studio with I'm a technical person. I have another person on the team who is more on the business side. His name is Logan. And the both of us work together to be able to make new startups inside of Mobile. Now, when I say startups, I'm talking about companies that would be more on the venture side of investing. And so companies that are technology focused, maybe they're making some type of software as a service or even some physical products that would be sold to enterprise clients. And so our main thing as a venture studio is that we want to help be that partner, that co-founder with you to help you find that first enterprise client as you start your startup. And so we have deep connections into Mobile and Alabama as far as working with like big chemical manufacturers, really big like the ports, the steel manufacturers. Like we have an open door to every single one of these like big organizations inside of Alabama. And our main thing is trying to find founders that are interested inside of building in that space so that we can support them with everything that they could possibly need to be able to get to that first customer as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I think on the surface, people may know what you're talking about when you say venture studio, but kind of
Mhm.
give us a little bit more, because that's not a common term that you
Yeah.
hear here. This is a venture studio.
Gotcha. So inside of building a new company, like local businesses may go to a bank to be able to get a loan so that they can go and start their bakery, for example. Um, when we're talking about startups, we're thinking more inside the scale of like before Google was Google, it was a startup, and it was just two guys from Stanford building something cool based on their PhD paper.
Mhm.
Same thing with Amazon, same thing with Facebook. These startups needed to get large amounts of money to go hire more engineers to go build out what they wanted to make, which are these like large social platforms that we have today.
Mhm.
To be able to go down that route, you're not going to go to a bank and get a loan. You need to go get investors to invest money for like owning parts of the company. A venture studio is very similar to that setup where we as a nonprofit venture studio will take some equity and invest a large sum of money into an individual like company and work with them very closely. And that's a big difference between what you see inside of what is venture capital, what Google, Facebook, and Amazon will go through, versus working with a venture studio. Because unlike venture capital, we're not just giving you a blank check and saying, "All right, come back with more." We're sitting down. We're saying, "All right, we're going to help you use this money to be most effective." And so I'm the technical director, so I'll be sitting there figuring out like either I'm coding with you or I'm going out and hiring the team to go code for you. With Logan, he'll sit there and work through the business strategy with you, think through the next thing, be on the sales call with you, take you over to the enterprise client and say and make an introduction so that we're steady like a co-founder right there with you by your side as you go through those first steps of actually building the business. A lot of people choose to go down working with venture studios rather than venture capital because they have less experience inside of starting companies. And so they want to have somebody that's going to be more of a partner rather than just a banker to you. And so that's what we're doing here at inside of Mobile with our venture studio. We're looking for founders who are interested in building those large enterprise companies, those large enterprise SaaS companies, building something that is going to be sold to these big corporations, building cars, building planes, building ships, so that like we can give you that warm introduction and stand by your side while we figure out the best ways to sell.
So when you're thinking about somebody for that might be a good candidate for a venture studio, where are they in their startup journey? And I'll throw this chart up there. This is one chart
Mhm.
that kind of that's by Startup Commons, and it kind of shows somebody with the idea stage on up to MVP stage. And so who are you looking for in this
Yeah.
for the venture studio thing?
Most ideal, we got somebody that's still in the ideating phase.
Oh wow,
Right.
that
Yeah.
early?
hmm Yeah,
That's
and
amazing.
it's similar for venture studios because venture studios, like we're betting on people. We're not betting on the idea. We're not betting on just such a great market opportunity. We're looking for those founders that are going to be like hungry and ready to actually go build something because we're going to be right there next to you figuring it out. Um, and so we sit and we try to find folks at the in the ideating phase, and then
Okay.
we'll be right next to you, working with you, building with you, all the way up to like either product market or either the minimum viable product or to the point where you're about to start like trying to get into product market fit. The main thing and like the end of our engagement would look like you have your customer, you close that first deal, you have like revenue, and you can start trying to figure out how to close that second customer. Or like we get to the point where we're saying like, hey, we got a solid product, and uh you're at a place where you're going to need some more money, and you're in a real good shape to be able to go and say like, hey, I got three like people interested inside of continuing to work with me. We need to get more developers on it, and now I'm going to go raise some money. And so like we're going down the more traditional venture capital route. That's the general idea. That's the general premise. We want
Okay.
folks who are just at the beginning stages of thinking about it, that are ready, interested, and want to really start going down that journey.
Yes. So I was assuming you were going to say something that somebody at that. Well, I guess a venture studio, you kind of like I say, you're co-founder almost, and so you are helping the people to actually get their MVP off the ground. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so, but that's to me, that's an unusual opportunity that people that are not in the startup world, they may not think somebody's willing to help them to execute their idea.
That's right. That's right. Venture studios fit into that place. A lot of times you'll see venture studios, they'll bring people on just as like engineers in residence or engineers in residence, entrepreneurs in residence, designers in residence, because they know that that person is going to do something amazing.
Yeah,
And it may be that they're the co-founder to a new startup that the venture studio invests into. But at the end of the day, that we want to have the best folks around us so that we can sit down, talk to some folks, and then figure out a great idea.
yeah. So when do you all normally run your application process for that?
So we're just getting started, and
Okay,
so the application process is coming and talking to me or talking to Logan, and
okay,
then and we're getting to this point where we're starting to like get into the swing of things as we're getting started, getting ready to start like having more formal processes. But right now, we're
wow,
we're 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 open and we're really focused on making the connections inside of industry so that when we have that person come up, we're ready to move forward with them as quickly as possible.
gotcha. That's real. So that's like like an unusual opportunity from that standpoint. So this is like, since all the processes are not totally set up formally, it's a good opportunity for people to come in and get in the
Mhm.
program. And
Yeah,
before there's a lot of competition to get in the program, I think
that's exactly right.
that's the first thing I'm noticing about this particular opportunity. Um, so that sounds too good to be true for the Gulf Coast right here to have a program like that to do. But so like, tell me about some of the other programs that are over at the Innovation Portal.
Yeah, so generally the programs that we've been doing, because the Venture Studio is very new, during the programs that we've been doing, like are very similar to MoneyFest,
Yeah,
where we're looking for a more general audience, anybody who's running a business, anybody who's thinking about starting a business. Different programs have different like specifications to them, but they run the entirety of the gamut of what type of business that you're trying to run. For
got,
startups that are looking for venture capital investment, we have a program called G-Beta.
yeah,
G-Beta is happening for the entirety of the Gulf Coast. They just kicked off a new like cohort of G-Beta folks inside of G-Beta. Like the whole idea is that you have a company, you're making a whole bunch of you have a whole bunch of traction, and you're looking for that next big check to be able to get you to the next level.
yeah,
And so like we have that running inside the innovation portal that's given for everybody in the Gulf Coast. The other programs we have there for local businesses, what we have something called Tech Academy. Tech Academy happens in the fall. We give each company that signs up and actually like gets accepted into Tech Academy, they
hmm,
get up to $5,000 inside of just free money to be able to go and implement the things that they learn inside of Tech Academy. Tech Academy is fully meant to be able to be like a kind of boot camp for your business. And so like
yeah,
I've had a restaurant come into Tech Academy. They realize like I haven't taken a day off in years, right? And we say like, well, that's the thing we need to figure out how to make work. And so they end up saying, all right, well now I know how to hire a manager, and I also know how to set up standard operating procedures so that everybody knows what to do when I'm not there. And then all of a sudden they're on a vacation and they're making more money rather than having to take a loss because they're closing down because they can't be there. And so like it's everything. Any business, like we've had HVAC folks come up in there, learn how to operate, how to be more efficient in their operations, handle their employees, like just basic business principles that you wouldn't expect that coming into something like Tech Academy that you get, but we're really understanding all the techniques that come with building a business and running a business.
yes, yeah.
Hmm.
That's fantastic as well. And I think what I'm hearing is, no matter what stage you are, it sounds like the Innovation Portal has some help for you.
Exactly. Yeah. And that goes for nonprofits as well. We have nonprofits inside of coming into our programs, learning how to get grants, learning how to be more efficient as a nonprofit. Is really a center for any type of entrepreneurial, like social entrepreneurial endeavor that you can take on while still being able to have like, hey, you can have the office here too. You can always be a part of what's going on.
Yeah, and that's what was evident as Money Fest, and to have, no matter which track you're in, you can do it. But what I kind of think, whether you're a nonprofit or whether you're a traditional small business going after business loans, there's always an opportunity to create something that's scalable, or that you can leverage the ecosystem in a more deeper way, to do it. I don't know if you've seen a chart like this before. One of the first things when people come into you, they want money, right?
Hmm.
They want money. So the question, when you go in that venture back thing, or if you go in the startup route, but see, to me, it is like you talk about venture capital, and we know it's hard to get venture capital. But what's neat about this going this route is the ecosystem has a lot of perks for you. It has
Hmm.
a lot of program if you're building a scalable business. And so when I say perks, I mean like free software, free mentoring services, just all a bunch of in-kind stuff. And then there's also, like I was talking about, like with the, just one of like a partner, I would call this a perk. So like by just being associated with the Kakor Institute's program, you get 6 months free of Coda, and so that gives you unlimited AI. So like all your documents, all the stuff you have, and all your data you have in there, you can actually use AI to talk to your data, and
Hmm.
all your workflows. You can run your whole back office for your business using that software, and so that takes that's to me that's like a so like when you look at this chart, you see this profit line. So this is where you're getting started, with idea. Then as you get your business model, this green part, and then start pitching that business model, you're in the red here because you don't got no profit. And so, but the startup ecosystem with the pitch competitions and all that stuff, you can get in the red before you start making money with customers over here.
Hmm.
And that's the way I try to explain the startup ecosystem to people. You have to learn how to pitch your business model, and you have to know how to do a scalable business model. And so that's what this chart is trying to show you, when is the best time, to raise money is, and it's basically saying at that product market fit stage. But you had I think it was Valencia there, and somebody would tell me she won every pitch competition that she's participated in over the last few years. But you got any idea how much money she's raised just through pitch competition?
I don't have access to that one. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So like even with my startup, won quite a few pitch competition, and so but cash wise, I got almost $150,000. And so you see what I'm saying? Is so that's straight up cash, but also when I look at the in-kind services, that's going up to
I know.
300,000. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm. Yeah.
That's I didn't have to pay for. And so like one of the competitions I won. So just when you're looking at this curve, I was pre-revenue, and so one of the pitch competitions I won was for Cox Communications, and it was like only $5,000 cash, but they gave me free internet service for a whole year. They gave me free
Wow.
marketing for a whole year. They gave me access to training for a whole year. And that's what I tell people, what the ecosystem does for you. And there's so
Mm-hmm.
many things you can do before you start making money with your idea that people don't realize. And the ecosystem is just there to help you get to the point where you're making money. And even once you start making money, there's programs out there to help you even when you're making money. And I tell this story quite a bit. I was down in Miami back in 2017, and I ran into one of these startup programs, and I ran into this lady that was running this nonprofit, and she said, she introduced herself, and she said, "Well, we work with startups that are making 5 to 10 million a year, and we help them get to 100 million a year. So it doesn't really matter where you
Hmm.
are. There's a program out there to kind of support you, and that's what the deal is. And it's hard for people to understand that it's all about innovation, and
Hmm.
you just have to realize that these programs are out there. But like our partner, let me see here. I'll show you. That's why we partner with the. Let's see which one I got here. The I don't see it here up there, but that's why we partner with Startup Science, not Startup Science, but to Make Startups, because they have that thing where it teaches you how to fill out the application correctly.
Hmm.
Yeah, so you can make sure you're communicating right, and so you don't spend time filling out a bunch of applications and getting rejected. So you can kind of move forward, and so that's what the deal is. And but I like the idea of working on something that's been scaled, because and I think founders don't realize is we want you to create something that what your idea is of something that's useful and that actually solves the problem.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of what my point is. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of help people understand your journey, but also you had said that you wanted to talk about when to code and when not to code. Could you kind of give us an idea of
Yeah.
what you were thinking about when you went on that?
Yeah, so like as I've gone through coming from college, going to a lot of hackathons and getting money from hackathons as well. As we talk about that, I remember just thinking about it. I got like $20,000 of just cash from hackathons in college, going there, pitching stuff that could be businesses, and then also like free laptops and all types of different things that could span that out. And there's like if those competitions exist, and they're always open to people who have ideas and willing to go participate. And I went through like coming into the professional world. I continued to like do things extra to work. So like I went and I would do contract work where I'd sit down with a nonprofit and like go and build some new small tool for them that helps them be a little bit more effective. Because like doing things like that is what got me into computer science in the first place.
Okay.
Before I was interested in kind of side of computer science, I wanted to be an environmental engineer. I said I was going to go solve climate change. I started doing a whole bunch of volunteering inside of Mobile, and I got connected to this group called Mobile Baykeeper. They are a nonprofit that really focuses on protecting the environment. I worked there as an unpaid intern when I was in high school, and I sat there and I did a lot of repetitive tasks because that's what was needed to be able to really affect the change they were doing.
Okay.
And I sat there and I realized like a computer should be doing this. A computer doing this will help this nonprofit be so much more effective at helping the environment. And
Okay.
that's what brought me to computer science. And
Fantastic.
now coming into like a full circle moment, I see after having worked inside the AI companies and working with like nonprofits, doing contract work with them, doing contract work with startups that are trying to leverage AI to be able to be more effective as businesses. I found like there's a lot of ways that you can use both off the shelf tools and some custom made tools to be able to like make people who are really passionate about doing what they do so much more effective. At the same time, the thing that people get bogged down on, especially entrepreneurs, is around like, okay, I don't know anything about that. I don't know anything about code. I might use ChatGPT, but I don't know anything about how to really use it effectively.
Yeah.
And so, like a lot of times, there'll be people coming into the innovation portal, local businesses, people running startups, like nonprofits, and I'll sit down and the first thing that I talk to them, especially when people send them to me, because it'll often be the case where the person will come in, they'll say like, okay, I need to make a website, I need to make like a platform.
Yeah.
Right, use that word. I need to make a platform, and I think it's gonna have to be custom made and everything. And I'm in my head, I'm like, let me understand the problem. Let me understand the problem because when I started coding, when I began the journey of like learning how to code and when I was in college and whatnot, I'm like, yeah, okay, we got an idea to make something, let's go code. And I'm going straight to
Yeah.
it. As I've matured as a software engineer, it becomes very clear. You start to get on this wisdom inside the experience and you say, ah, maybe we should code less. Maybe we should reduce the amount of code that we have, like, because that's a liability. That's
Yeah.
not an asset, that's a liability.
Mhm.
And the more code that we have like constantly being run needs to be maintained, and it's no
Yeah.
different than having a car because the car's gonna break down eventually.
Yeah. That's
And
right.
so when folks come to me and they're like, I want to make this idea, I need to make a platform, I need to have a really really crazy cool website, and I'm like, all right, well let's talk about what's the business, what are you selling, right? Are you
Mhm.
selling a website, or are you selling a platform? Well, if we're
Uh-huh.
not selling that, then these things need to get out the way so we can do what we need to do inside of selling. Or if it's a nonprofit, are you making websites for the community? Are you making platforms for the community? If that's not the case, if we're protecting the environment, let's focus on how we can get the technology out of the way so that we can focus on what we really are trying to do.
Yes.
And so in doing that, a lot of times it comes down to saying like, okay, what's the simplest route to be able to get what I want to get done? And sometimes it'll be about being as creative as possible with the tools, being as resourceful as possible with the tools that you have. And so I
Yes.
can give some examples of like small businesses that have come to me and how they've used some of these like AI tools that everybody has access to, or like looking at some of the ways that I've been able to like help build new capabilities using AI for other folks who are non-technical. Like
Definitely.
what's your interest going down in these directions? Because that's the place where I'm at. Like everything doesn't have to be coded. Everything doesn't have to be. And with AI, we can solve a lot of problems very quickly. But we need to understand how to use the tools and be resourceful.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah. So that's generally, uh, how you kind of, get people on the right track is what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot of times it'll be as simple as saying like, I had one lady, she came to me, she said she wanted to make a volleyball platform. Right. She was like volleyball, people play volleyball, but a lot of volleyball is not being like played inside of the same way that something like pickleball is being played,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
She knows that there's people out there who like to play volleyball and are interested and would be engaged if there was something for them out there. She said we need to make a platform. We need to make
Okay.
a platform for people to play volleyball. They need, we need to be able to do messaging on the platform. We need to be able to like she's describing Facebook, right? She's just going and describing Facebook. And so
Okay.
I'm sitting there, I'm listening to her, and I'm like, look, you are not selling the platform. You are selling people having a good time playing volleyball.
Yes.
And so as you break that down, she gets to the realization and she just says, okay. It doesn't matter what platform I'm on. It doesn't matter what was happening. The key thing is that I have a community of people who want to play volleyball. And so
Yes.
now she's running a volleyball event, right? Because guess
Okay.
what? Easiest way to bring people together to play volleyball is playing volleyball. So she's running the tournament, and now she has like a lot of momentum. There's people engaged. There's people interested inside of what she has going on, and no technology was necessary.
Hmm.
Now, I'll give you another example. There was a lady, she sells granola in Mobile. It's delicious granola. She goes to all the farmers markets and she sells out every single time. We gave her the idea to say, like, hey, you want to continue to sell granola, you want to sell online, well, you need to get people's email addresses. And so she said, all right, $1 off for the granola you buy if you give me the email address that you have. And so she put out a sign up form and gave people that dollar discount at the farmers markets. She had probably like 10, 20 pages full of email addresses.
Okay.
And so like I tell this story because like this woman, she like English is her second language, right? And so she's having to look at these at this like bad handwriting that folks have given her about their email addresses, their names,
Yeah.
and everything else. And she wants to get it on Shopify so she can go ahead and start like sending them emails saying, hey, why don't you come buy some granola? Buy it online,
Yeah.
buy it ahead of time. And so for her, it is a difficult task. This is going to take a long time. She got a young child at the
Yeah.
house, and she's a busy person. She's already got the having to run the business, and so this extra task is going to be a lot for her because it's just time consuming, and it's not going to be just the biggest benefit for the business for her to spend 5 hours doing this.
Yeah.
And so what I showed her was I said, okay, look, what you're doing right now can be simplified real easy. We opened up ChatGPT. I said, take a picture of the sign up sheet, put it into ChatGPT, use the best model. This is a pro tip. Use the best model, not
Hmm.
not the one that they give you to start with, not 4.0, o 03, or whatever higher number that they get to inside of 3 months when they upgrade it. And tell it, give me a spreadsheet of what's on this picture.
Hmm.
That's it. No complex prompts, just simply directly asking. Same way
Got
that you would if she could have passed it to me and said, go ahead and write down all the names into this spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And 13 minutes later, she had a perfectly typed up spreadsheet that it was better than what she could have did herself. Right.
Fantastic.
And she did that for every single one of them pages, and she took it straight into Shopify. She didn't even have to do no clicking and dragging. She took it
No,
straight into Shopify, uploaded it up, and then now she's ready to go send a newsletter out. And
gotcha.
so like that's 5 hours of her saved, but that's so much more business value that she got out of that ChatGPT $20 a month, right?
Yeah.
And so like there's so many cases, and I could go on and on and on about how people are able to use these tools to be able to be so much more effective.
But in that example, basically, she's generating revenue at the market, but she's also getting her list of emails
Mhm.
at the same time, and so that's like her she's getting a sales funnel, getting people to come buy stuff, and so yeah, and just kind of getting getting more and more clients to kind of do that. Yeah, so
Mhm.
that's
She didn't have to hire nobody to be a back office worker for her. She didn't have to do none of that stuff. And it's easy and it's simple, but that's being resourceful. That's being creative with the tools, right?
yeah,
Because many people won't come up to the ideas like, oh, well, I didn't know ChatGPT can do that. Well, like you'll never know if you don't try. If whatever that complex task is, just try it. See what happens.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, so you got any more tips for founders, who have ideas,
Mhm.
and so like the approach we teach is like we don't care what the idea is, but we want you to learn how to build a business model and then go through this process and see if that idea works. And then, but
Mhm.
it's just a fast way to test if your idea actually works. And
Mhm.
so let me pull this chart up so I can kind of show you. I wanted to kind of go a little early here, but let me pull it up now and show the audience. It's because we're getting ready to start another cohort that the middle of next month, but we'll have
Mhm.
the application up by Monday. But it's not. It's a class you take, so it's no worry about no application or getting in or anything like that. And so these little things here are business models, and I hope Hakeem is listening because he just graduated in marketing, digital marketing, and so in business management, and he's got his digital marketing certificate. And so what this so these icons are like one page business plans of lean canvas. And so
Mhm.
for those who are not familiar with the lean canvas, this part of the lean canvas here where I got my cursor at is the customer segment. This part here is the problems uh, that you're tackling or solving, and then in that same block you have what the people are currently using, your solutions, your metrics, your value proposition, your unfair advantage, your channels, and your pricing and your costs. And so we take the people through this process. But one thing, just looking at this chart in general, is this is like whatever's in your head, you just dump it out and spend 20 minutes just writing down what you come out with, and then for each of the customer segments, you duplicate this thing here, but you have one for each customer segments. So like the granola person, she may have a customer segment where she market the business, and so they can give it to an employees for birthday. She may have um, uh, uh, the stores that buy it or whatever. She may have individual customers that buy it, but these are all her customer segment. And so if you're a marketing person, as you go to the right in time, what are you doing? You're trying to get to your target market. So this process is how you since you can't market to all these customer segments at once, you run these stress tests, desirability, how desirable is your product or service. And you notice you only when you testing it for desirability, you're only looking at the customer segment and the problems that customer segment have and what value you can bring to them. And so as you go through these tests, you eliminate customer segments. And then so when the
Mhm.
viability test is all about the money, what the revenue, how much are you charging for your customer? Or is that customer paying $10 a year, $100 a year? $1,000 a year, or $10,000 a year. So that's what this is for. So you use that pricing model to determine the viability of your customer. And so the metrics is just already kind of given like your acquisition rate, your stuff like that, your churn, and stuff like that, referrals, and stuff like that. And then the last stress test is the feasibility stress test. Can you roll this out in 90 days? And so that's based on your cost and whatever your solution is, and then your unfair advantage and your channels. But so, and then once you do all this information goes into your business model story pitch, and you're doing this
Mhm.
business model story pitch not to get customers. You're doing this to get help, to help you build whatever your idea is, and all this happens in 30 days. And
I
so
see. Now, I want to say, like, I'm really happy you brought this up because, like, I wanna give a real clear example of
yeah,
how to think about using AI inside of everything that you're doing because,
yeah,
like, this is a very transformative technology.
yeah,
Is akin to like, okay, computers exist now, and now we can use computers instead of pencil and pad. So when we're sitting here, we're looking at something like this,
yeah,
where we're filling out a business model canvas.
yeah,
What you can do, you can use something like ChatGPT, you can use it as a strategy partner where you're
yeah,
saying, okay, well, I want to fill out a business model canvas. I have an idea. Now, there's a guy named Nigel. He's a CFO of a company called Masterworks. He came to the innovation portal and he talked about how he uses ChatGPT as a thought partner.
okay,
For something like this, his big idea is to say, "Hey, open up ChatGPT, tell it that you're trying to fill out a business one of these business model canvases,
yeah,
and then go in and just start brain dumping. Just start talking, just start yapping to it. Click the little voice to text and just start talking.
yeah,
Because what'll happen is that the AI has consumed all of the internet. It can understand everything at once. If you give it enough information, it'll pick out what matters and then
yeah.
start to get to work. And then
Gotcha.
you got like one set of the business model canvas. AI is not going to do everything that you want, but then you can start moving forward. You make a tweak here, you make a tweak there, and now you come to the point where you say like, all right, I need to figure out what customer segments make sense. You can go in. Another thing with ChatGPT and with any of these other like AI like chat clients that you can find, Gemini from Google, Anthropic has Claude. They have a deep research feature. They'll say
Hmm.
deep research. They'll say research whatever it is. You click that button and you say, "Hey, give me like five customer segments that give me six customer segments so I can pick out five that I feel I want to really test with this business model canvas."
Yeah,
And now it's gonna spend 15 minutes. It's gonna go throughout the internet searching around to try to find exactly the information you're looking for. It's gonna try really hard to get you the exact answer. And then you come back with something probably like 40 pages of content about customer segments that you can
yeah.
then start moving forward with to be able to actually test this stuff.
Yeah, so you just gave me an idea because I haven't ever thought about using the deep research with this. And so this is basically like week one of the 30-day course. This is like these two are week two. This is week three, and then you spend the last week with your business model story pitch. Now, one thing I want to point out to people when you this stress test here, it's just a 30 second, 60-second elevator pitch. And so so what I wanted to people to notice about this is the solution block. The solution is not in your elevator pitch. And so most people try to pitch their solution. And so what you want to pitch is to that customer segment and the problem they have and what value your solution actually brings to them. You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
your elevator pitch. And so, but that's kind of what this deal is. So you go through this, and what this is good for is when you're trying to get that money from the ecosystem, trying to get in those pitch competitions, trying to get apply for those grants. That's what you learn here, how to pitch your business model clearly and concisely to take advantage of that ecosystem to get the money you need to go forward. Now what I tell people is once you got this business model, start applying for stuff and so see how to do that stuff. But so we provide you with a list of opportunities that kind of match what you're doing as well. Now, once you start going here, then the next thing you do is with this pink area. This is what is our 90-day thing is all about. We call it a launch program, but if you notice, you're still getting rid of customer segments. You see what I'm saying? And then this at this product market fit, you down to one customer segment, and you notice all these things in your lean canvas. They still not all green yet. Some of them are still red, but at least you're making money here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this is where less than 20% of the startups reach this thing right here. But what this pink area does, what's so amazing about it, it literally teaches you how to sell. Because when you do this here, you're doing problem discovery. You're interviewing people that's recently bought something in the last 90 days, similar to what you're trying to build. So you want to find out why they switched from what they were using, and all those things to help you understand what are they still missing. So when you design your solution, you want to make sure you're solving those problems they're still frustrated with. And then once you understand their problems, you can actually design their solution. And behind that's just on paper. And then you create a mafia offer for your solution and start pitching that mafia offer to potential customers. But back here, so you're pitching to you're doing this demo sale build thing here of what you're doing, but actually you're using the same information back when you did your viability test, because here it's telling you how many people you have to do each month to actually get the sale. And so all this stuff is just you recurring using it over and over again. And it turns out to me, it's just when you think about marketing, you can't market to everybody. So you have to home in on that target or that early adopter, and that's what this thing is teaching you to do. And the people that don't go through this process, they have trouble selling. They literally have trouble selling, and it's just a matter of, because if you don't understand the problem that the customer have and how to get them to switch from what they're already using, that's what this whole 90-day is doing, is you learning how to get people to switch from what they're already using to what you're building. Yeah, and it's a proven process. It's used by accelerator programs all over the world and universities all over the world, and we have it available for founders. And so that's what we want people to understand, that you can actually leverage the ecosystem to kind of get up to that product market fit and even further. Yeah. So I would think some folks in the audience might have some questions. So if you got some questions, please ask Paul. He's a tech guy, and he's been working with several startups. And so, Paul, just to show you, we tried to get a little smart. We're not totally smart yet. So like with this, so like for me, I didn't know what all Chat GPT could do. So almost 2 years ago, I was reading this business article, and it said use AI to 100x your business. And I said, yeah, I knew about AI and stuff, but I didn't know what Chat GPT knew. So guess what I did? I said, first I went to the Chat GPT. I said, are you familiar with the lean canvas? And it came back and said yes. It's going to say yes to everything you say. So and then I told it about an idea, I had. And I said, could you please build a lean canvas for it? You see what I'm saying? And then over here, where after you do all this stuff, you get we were having a demo day that day, and over here where you have to do your business model story pitch. So what I decided to do I decided to upload the pitch template and told a little bit more about one of the founders' idea, and had it create a 3-minute business model story pitch. And so I shared it with the lady, and then I send the prompt to all the founders and that would participate in the demo day. And 3 of the founders reached out to me that day to get help with the prompt. And guess who won the pitch competition that night? Those 3 founders,
Hmm.
because they
Hmm.
knew how to communicate the business model story pitch based on the information in ChatGPT. So we actually to now we created a prompt that does all this for you in less than 2 or 3 minutes. But what I learned from you today, Paul, is I'm gonna run that prompt through deep research in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll say like the big thing about deep research, and I explained this to somebody else today. When you're thinking about like working with ChatGPT, it's super smart. It has information and knowledge about the entirety of the internet and all of human history, all condensed into just a little box for you to go chat to. Now, like we used to be only talk to this like all-knowing creature through Google, where we give it just a little bit of text and it give us links. But now we can get full context and text back, as well as images, as well as graphs, as well as everything else. And so with deep research, what you have there that's a little bit different than just the chat is that
Yeah,
you have something that's going to go a lot further to try to answer your question. What
yeah,
that means is the way they trained it was basically saying, like, instead of asking just point back and forth questions like, hey, do you know what this is? Or like, for example, regular chat, you can sit there and say, like, tell me like when Martin Luther King was born, and then it gives you a direct answer.
uh-huh.
What with Deep Researcher, they trained it on questions like, tell me the name of the third person on the left inside of the most famous image that of the Million Man Walk that Martin Luther King was in. Uh, the third person on the left from Martin Luther King, tell me his mother's maiden name, as well as the name of the hospital she was born in. Now, they train with these types of questions that like the mother's maiden name may be just Stacy, and the hospital that she was born in may be like Goodwill Hospital. It's a very simple answer, but to get to that answer just using the internet would be a lot of work. Like you got to go
Sure.
figure out, first you got to go pull up that picture, you got to go figure out who that person is and take a picture of them and try to go find it on Google. Like there's multiple steps in between you just getting that simple answer and having that complex question. And so, like, you can imagine if you have something that can answer those types of questions every single time perfectly, what type of questions you could ask and what type of answers you can get. I
Yeah,
used it recently to make market maps of Alabama so that I can get a really good understanding of all the steel manufacturers inside of Alabama, deep understanding of their history, their like the way they've engaged with the community, their like the likelihood of if they're going to engage inside of another community program or not. All this
got
information is on the internet, but I would not know until Deep Research gave me like a 40-page essay talking about why, how, with sources and links. Same as if I went to somebody who was working at a consulting firm for 40 years, like knows how to research every single thing for $1 billion transaction. Because
yeah.
that's who I'm talking to when I'm talking to these deep research like type of AI.
Gotcha, gotcha. So I wanted so this vibe coding is all the rave right now. Do you have what's your opinion and thoughts on that?
So when I code, I only code with the AI now. I use a tool called Cursor to be able to do that. I don't recommend Cursor for folks who don't know how to code. And the reason being is, and I'll tell you like my like kind of thesis around investing inside of these things as well. Like Cursor is a tool that allows me to vibe code where I can just sit back, I can give it natural language and say like, hey, make the website a little bit faster. And then the AI starts cooking away. Same way as if I had another engineer underneath me and I told him to go make the website faster. And so everybody who doesn't know how to code, I'd recommend using something like Lovable or V0 or Bolt.new, because those tools are made for folks who don't know how to code to be able to have the type of interaction where you're vibe coding. Now, to
Mhm.
define vibe coding, you want to code something, you know that you can make this thing with code, and you're just going to go talk to the AI and it's going to go write it for you. You can do it inside of ChatGPT. You say like, go make me a website. It's going to start whipping out some code, write it up, and then you'll get a website at the end of it. I've seen folks do some real cool and interesting things where they say like, all right, I got a spreadsheet. I'm going to put this into ChatGPT and tell it to make me an interactive website using this data. Boom. Okay. Now I can like look at this data inside of a way that's a lot more visual, right? But you'd have to go get a programmer to actually to do that before you had ChatGPT that'll do it for you in 15 seconds.
Mhm.
But the thing that comes up and the reason why like I think about these things a little bit differently, I use these tools every day to be able to do to be able to write code. And it makes me a whole lot more a lot more a lot more like a lot more effective at being able to code quickly. But the things that I realize about being a good software developer is that when you're sitting there and you're vibe coding things out, there's things that you may miss that you don't know because you are not you haven't done it before, right? Like if I sat here and I vibe coded, quote unquote, or say I'm vibe cooking and I'm gonna go make a new recipe. Now, ChatGPT can give me a good recipe, but the AI does not know how to eat. It cannot taste. And
Mm.
so what ends up happening is that I yeah, I've gotten a recipe out of it. But what I've done is actually get a recipe that's the best the AI thinks that would be good. Now a real chef will come in there and be able to look at that and say, like, no, that's a terrible recipe, or it's almost there. You just need to change these two things. Same thing with the software engineer. I can come and see that code that gets created, and I can go in and start like chopping it up, breaking it up, and then understand like, okay, this part was actually going to cause you problems way down the road. Let me go ahead and make that slight adjustment. And now I'm still sitting here coding, I'm still debugging, but this is because I'm a smart enough software developer to know that I need to make those changes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm going to put this one back on the screen again and kind of just review that process that I went through to kind of do some vibe coding because I had never really tried it until Saturday, and but I knew that so I keep track of startups who get funded. And so I was reading an article last week, and it's saying this company used to be called Adaptive Computers, now they call it Adaptive AI. And so one of the things they said in the article, so what makes your thing different than Replit and Lovable and Bolt.new and Curse and all these other things? He said we started from the ground up for non-coders. So that's what the difference is. But so even me being a non-coder, I said I'm not just going to go to this thing and just start telling it what I want to build because that sounds like I'm asking for trouble. Now I could do that, but I don't think that's the best way to do it. So what I did was I recorded myself, saying all the things, the features that I want in my program to keep track of all these Black founders we're working with, and I want them to be able to communicate together. I want them to be able to fill out their profile, so when they fill out their profile, my opportunity database that has opportunities, all these different opportunities, I want it to automatically match them with these opportunities. I want to have a resource thing that has templates and prompts and all this kind of stuff so they can use. I want them to be able to, if they see an opportunity they want to share, I want them to be able to do that. I want to be, me as administrator, I want to be able to upload all of this stuff. And so I went to chat. So I recorded myself doing this. And then I got the transcript for it, and then I uploaded to ChatGPT. And then asked ChatGPT, would you please create me a system architectural design based on this thing? Because I know when you get started with software, you go to a software architect to have them to design your thing there, and then the coders to actually use that to actually develop your code. And so I went to the thing, I created an account, and then you can start with free, but as soon as you start with free and as you start building stuff for you, you're gonna say, well, we run out of tokens, you need to put some money here. So, but they only charge $20 a month. But I gave it a cool logo and asked it to use that as a design thing, and so so I still haven't uploaded any data here, but I in less than 30 minutes, I had uh, a working web application with sample data and everything. And so the amazing thing about this particular thing, as it finds errors, as people start trying to use it, find errors, then it'll automatically, get you to autocorrect. Just click the button to autocorrect the error
Mhm.
that's being found. And so for me, this was a really really good start to kind of get going here. I thought I saw a comment here somewhere, but I'm trying to find it now. Maybe I didn't. Yeah. So yeah, but anyway, so for a non-programmer, to me, this is a kind of a decent way to start. So I went and did the same thing with boat.new, and so it was started building, but then it wanted to do the back end, but it wanted me to order, the Superbase, get an account with Superbase, and then so I can connect the back end. And
Yeah.
so I'm gonna try. So the average non-tech person is not gonna know what to do there. So I'm gonna
Mhm.
also try Lovable and Replit to see what I have with. But like I said, the difference between those and and um, and this right here, I just, as I saw stuff I forgot, I kept having to add it. So me as the administrator, it didn't have this buck upload feature. And so I said, create me a buck upload feature. And then it came up with this JSON thing. I said, most of my stuff is going to be in a CSV. So I told it to create me a CSV upload. So it just added that to it, just like that.
Mhm.
So you see what I'm saying? For a non-tech founder, this seems to me to be kind of like an easy way to kind of get started. But it doesn't do any good to build anything like this unless you got some customers that want to buy, right?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, the biggest thing is that like vibe coding brings you so far to be able to really be able to start selling right away.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then and like I know inside of something like Lovable and whatnot, you can go in, you can put in like, hey, I want to sell on this. So like it's going they have real simple instructions that say go ahead and add a Stripe integration and I'll bring you my Stripe API so that you can give me money. Like
yeah,
this thing is so simple. It's so
yeah.
simple.
So
The
which one
thing
are you
is like
talking about?
hmm,
Lovable? I just want to make sure.
Lovable. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Lovable has that set up. Given it's the same situation, you start working with it, you be like, whoa, I'm like 90% of the way there. And then they timed it just right so that you can go ahead and start paying for tokens. But the like you can get so far inside of building what you want, what you need, especially if it's not super complex, right? Like once you get into more complex things, it becomes difficult and you need something a little bit stronger like Cursor.
yeah,
And the value of the software developer is when it's really more so saying like, hey, I got multiple people using this and there's multiple bugs going on. I need somebody
yeah,
that knows what they're doing to actually drive
right,
the wheel.
right. Yeah,
Right. Like, you can put some wheels on something and then start rolling with it for a good bit, but eventually you need to get the whole car out. And
yeah,
so this
yeah,
the it's very much like that, but it gives you those training wheels so that you can like actually start moving forward rather than being bogged down by saying you need something.
yeah.
There's no excuses.
Yeah, and I think the best thing there is that these tools are improving on a daily basis. So it's just going to keep getting better and better. Somebody this week was saying that they think this AI performance is doubling every 6 months now, and so it's going to keep getting shorter and shorter. So
Hmm.
if your tool's not working this week, check again next week or the week after. It may be working.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but any parting words you want to share before you get on?
I'll say reach out to me if you're interested inside of just getting some ideas, some help, some understanding on like maybe you're inside that space where it's like, oh, I need to make something, I need to code up something. Like message me. I can walk you away from that cliff. If you're just interested inside of finding different ways to leverage AI, or maybe you got an interesting use case and you're like, ChatGPT can't do that. like message me. You can schedule time with me. Also, you can message me on LinkedIn at Paul Lockett, just Paul Lockett. You can also schedule time with me in case you feel like you got something more that you really need to have like a technical person take a look at. I'm always here to help. I'm always here to try to spec it out, try to point you in the right direction. That's what we do at the Innovation Portal. You can schedule time with me by just going into like any web browser and typing in, just remembering these three words: Cal, CAL, link, and Paul. And so like you do Cal dot link slash Paul, you'll be able to schedule some time with me. Um, it's real straightforward. It's real simple. Like I'm early days in a whole bunch of AI stuff, and so like that link is something that I was able to get my hands on as well. Cal.link slash Paul. You can schedule some time with me, or just connect with me on LinkedIn at Paul Lockett, and I'll be able to help you figure out your way forward inside of AI, or like help you like find the right tools to use, or some new ideas around how to use those tools.
That's a really fantastic offer, Paul. We definitely really appreciate that. And I'll let me put that in the chat here.
Hmm.
So it's yeah, and there are other founders that also that are willing, to help, people without this vibe coding and stuff as well. So one of our founders, um, Josiah, he said that just have them reach out to him as well if they're struggling with the vibe coding, because he is a coder, and
Hmm.
and so that's the beautiful thing about that. So we really appreciate you coming on and sharing some wisdom with that.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and so we just want, I think what your role at the Innovation Portal now is really fantastic, and it just goes to show that there's resources out there for people who want to get stuff done, want to build stuff, or have some ideas, and just kind of want to move forward. And I think that's the message for all people: is these tools are out there, you leverage them and move forward and make progress, start making that money. All righty.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Paul. We really appreciate it. And before you, just when you get ready to exit the thing, to make sure it's uploaded your video, and I'll send you a copy of your video and stuff like that, so you can use it for social media or whatever you like.
All right.
All right. We'll
Thank you.
see everybody next week. We got Dr. White coming next week. She's going to be talking about that dynastic wealth. And I don't know if you ran into her yet, Paul, but she's going to develop a whole platform for helping families and individuals understand entrepreneurship and dynastic wealth. And so it's and she knows all about. Used to be an entrepreneurship professor and everything, and so she's got the goods, and she helped people understand, your blackness and why black people struggle, in this creating this. And she's just not talking about financial wealth. She's talking about all kinds of wealth that you can pass down for generations and generations. And so I'm looking forward to chatting with her, because she's out there and she works with founders through organizations, and she's got some programs out there that founders and people can take advantage of. All right, we'll see you all next week. Thanks for stopping in. Really appreciate it, Paul. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Thanks. It's good to be here.
All righty. Bye-bye.